Welcome back to NBA Today. So here are the three teams currently looking for a new head coach. Hornets, who lost in the play-in, and then the Lakers and the Kings, who both missed the playoffs completely. So joining us now in studio is senior NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski, Richard Jefferson back with me on set. And Adrian, I just mentioned it, 3 head coaching vacancies here in the NBA. So I want to start with the Hornets. You had some reporting on this earlier. What can you tell us about Charlotte's plans for their new head coach?
Yeah, they're starting interviews this week and getting permission from teams. One coach they didn't need to get permission on, Mike D'Antoni. He did work as a consultant in New Orleans this season. Remember, he's got history with Mitch Kupchak. He was the coach in L.A. They worked well together. Certainly, you could see Mike D'Antoni and LaMelo Ball, a team that played fast, maybe even playing faster. But some other real significant candidates in that, Kenny Atkinson, Golden State's assistant, of course, former Brooklyn head coach, Darvin Ham in Milwaukee, who we'll talk about with the Lakers, and Sean Sweeney, who's really one of the rising assistants in the league with the Dallas Mavericks, the architect of their defense, worked very closely with Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee.
Absolutely. You mentioned the Lakers, so let's talk about them now. How are they approaching their search?
Listen, this is very much a committee in L.A. putting together this coaching search, and one person who is certainly significantly involved in this process is Phil Jackson. He's got a voice in this. He did last time when they hired Frank Vogel. He was, he and Kurt Rambis, he had been somebody they had considered with the Knicks before hiring Derek Fisher in New York. And so I think Phil Jackson's voice is here. Darvin Ham, we just mentioned with Charlotte, he's going to interview with them. He's interviewing also with the Lakers. They're moving deliberately. They're not doing 7 or 8 or 9 candidates all at once. They're kind of going down a list and taking their time with it. But I think that process is going to take a bit.
And we know that they have said that they hope to have a head coach in place sometime around the draft. We'll see if that comes to fruition. Last but certainly not least, Sacramento. Who are they targeting, Woj? 3
finalists in Sacramento, former Orlando Charlotte coach Steve Clifford. He interviewed over the last couple days. Mike Brown, Golden State's assistant. I'm told he'll interview when that Golden State-Memphis series gets back to the Bay Area. And former Warriors coach and ESPN analyst Mark Jackson is the 3rd finalist in that process. And, their hope is to pick a head coach among that group of 3. Don't rule out that they could still open it back up if it doesn't hit exactly right. But I think this is going to be the group they're going to pick their next head coach from, with the Kings to replace both Alvin Gentry and Luke Walton, who coached the team in the previous season.
So those are the 3 head coaching vacancies as of right now in the NBA. Richard, which one of those 3 do you believe is most appealing?
None of the 3, to tell you the truth. No, and I don't say that to be disrespectful. I just look at, obviously, the young team in Charlotte. They have a ton of talent. You wonder about the direction of the organization. Then you look at what the Sacramento Kings have been doing. Sacramento has, we know their laundry list of things that have happened over the last 15 years. And then the Lakers. The Lakers were one of the teams that they could either be a championship contender or they can have an epic collapse. As a coach, you want those challenges. That's why coaches are crazy. But none of those 3 jobs are a clear cut, hey, this is the one. I think this one in the next 2 to 3 years, we can do really, really big things.
Interesting. Woj, thank you so much for joining us.
Guys.
Richard, please hang tight. So this is the WNBA's 26th season, and Saturday on ESPN and the app, we have a star-studded matchup. Reigning MVP Jonquel Jones leads the Sun against Sabrina Ionescu in the Liberty. Our coverage begins at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. Staying in the W, the State Department says it has determined Brittany Griner is being wrongfully detained in Russia. This is a significant shift, and it means the U.S. will work more aggressively to secure Griner's release while the legal case against her plays out in Russia. So Griner's agent, Lindsay Kagawa-Colas, said in a statement to ESPN, quote, Brittany has been detained for 75 days, and our expectation is that the White House do whatever is necessary to bring her home. We will continue to follow this story closely. So the Grizzlies, they were this close to pulling out a Game 1 victory over the Warriors. So why this missed layup was only one of the reasons Golden State walked to win in Memphis. Continues to be the only one to show up for the Mavericks.
Hey, look, I get it, but this is where you start to see, in my opinion, that the Dallas Mavericks are an outstanding team, but they are led by Luka Doncic, but they don't have nearly as much as the Phoenix Suns, and they definitely need other people to step up. But if we could just talk about Luka, there was no answer for this man at all.
He outscored the rest of the Mavericks starters 45-39.
See, that would be better if he outscored the Phoenix Suns starters. But another issue here is that this Dallas Mavericks defense, look at this. This is the start of the third quarter. They gave up 70 points in the first half. You're not going to win playoffs if your focus is defense, and then this, obviously.
Time of death, JaVale McGee.
JaVale McGee. That was it. I'm going to say this. Larry Fitzgerald in the building. Phoenix loving it. Everyone standing up. Just beautiful.
Well, and after last night's performance, Luka Doncic, he's now averaging 33.4 points per game in his postseason career. It's just tied with some guy named Michael Jordan for the most in playoff history. So Luka's obviously taking care of business on the offensive end. But after the game, Jason Kidd said the Mavs need just a little bit more from the rest of the team.
Yeah, he got whatever he wanted. When you look at the shots, in the paint, behind the arc, mid-range, I thought he played great. And we just got to help him get someone, to join the party.
We now welcome in Zach Lowe. Hello, Zach Lowe with Richard Jefferson and J.J. Redick. So Jason Kidd said Dallas needs somebody else besides Luka to come to the party. So Zach, starting with you, what Mavs player needs to step up with some party favors to give them a chance against the Suns?
It's got to be Spencer Dinwiddie and Jalen Brunson, who were 9 of 24 in game one, because no one else is coming to the party. Luka's a one-man party. Maxi Kleber did plenty of partying in game one, a lot of long-distance partying. Davis Bertans, he's a party for the other team's offense. It's these two guys that are going to provide scoring. Yeah, Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith, you might want a couple more threes, but they're only going to be so much. It has to be those guys driving to the rim, layups, drive and kick. But they discovered right away in game one, life is a little harder against the Phoenix perimeter defense than it is against whatever it was the Utah Jazz were doing against them in the first round.
JJ?
I'm gonna give Jalen a little bit of a pass here after averaging almost 29 points a game in round one. But I agree with Zach. It's those two guys. It's Dinwiddie and Jalen Brunson. They have to be the other shot creators for this team. And I recognize, by the way, there is a challenge in playing with a player like Luka who has the ball in their hands so much. So it's easy to say somebody else needs to join the party. But Luka is creating for himself, and he's primarily creating for spot-up threes and lobs. So in the minutes that he's not on, or if he takes a possession off, it really is up to those two guys to create offense and score efficiently for this Mavs team.
Now, JJ, I know you way too well to be like, I'm going to give somebody a pass. If you scored, I understand he had foul trouble. I understand that, but we don't give a pass for that. Not in the postseason.
I said a little bit of a pass, and then I also.
Can you hand that into a teacher?
I included
a little
him.
Bit of a hall pass.
I included him.
What does that mean? A little bit of a pass.
You did include him because ultimately that is the only way. We know Luka is the best player on the floor, and we've seen it with LeBron James. We've seen it like just because you're the best player on the floor, if you're going against the best team in the NBA, the best team is going to win. So Dallas needs a team effort. They need everyone. And if Luka has to dial it back and maybe go 35 to make sure that these other guys can have the ball in their hands so they can get, I'm not saying Luka did anything wrong. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that Brunson, Dinwiddie, they need the ball in their hands a little bit more so that they can get a rhythm, because Luka can go 45 all he wants. Don't forget, Michael Jordan has the record for most points scored in the postseason against the Boston Celtics, and he lost the game. So it can't take individual performances. It's going to take a team effort. So that means everyone has to step up for the Dallas Mavericks.
Well, on the other end of the floor, Phoenix, they shot 51% from the field. The Suns have shot 50% or better from the floor in all 7 games this postseason, tied for the second longest streak in the shot clock era. So, Zach, what makes the Suns so difficult to defend?
Yeah, they never miss. Their shooting is ridiculous, and they just have a lot of pet plays that they make a lot of great decisions out of, and they get a lot of clean shots. Here comes, we're going to show, I think, on tape, one of my favorite plays, maybe the best play they run. It's a double drag for Devin Booker, and you see, look, Ayton rolls free to the rim, and after he dunks it here, it's a really hard play to defend. There's only one. Finney-Smith says, hey, man, you got to be in. You got to be in on the corner. You got to be in from the corner and hit DeAndre Ayton. So, boom, a few minutes later, same set. Here comes Jalen Brunson. Hey, you want me to be in? I'm in. Oh, no. Oh, no. Corner 3. As soon as they saw Jalen Brunson coming in from the corner, Booker whipped the ball to Bridges on the wing, over to Cam Johnson, I think it was, in the corner. They just see out of that action, which they run maybe 8-10 times a game, Booker sees everything you're doing, and every response you have, he's ready for the right response. If you're not there on DeAndre Ayton, it's a lob. If you're there early, it's a corner pass. If the guy comes in from the other side, it's a three-point shooter from the weak side. They just have every option out of the play. It's a beautiful play. They've got shot making everywhere. And as the Mavs are finding out, and as Jason Kidd said before the series, Ayton can score pretty easily in the paint, soft touch, great hands. You can't treat him like you treated Rudy Gobert.
I've got to say, Zach, that oh no was visceral. I felt that.
Oh no!
I felt that in my soul. Speaking of potential oh no's, coming up on NBA Today, we go live to Boston for an update on